యూనివర్సిటీ ఆఫ్ ఫ్లోరిడా విశ్వవిద్యాలయంలో వైద్యం, పర్యావరణం, వృక్షజాలం, అంతరిక్షం వంటి రంగాల్లో పరిశోధనలు జరుగుతున్నాయి. బోధనా సిబ్బంది విద్యార్థులతో కలిసి పరిశోధనా ప్రాజెక్టుల్లో పనిచేస్తారు. ఈ పరిశోధనలే విద్యార్థులకు బోలెడు ఫండింగ్ అవకాశాలు ఇస్తాయి.
ఫ్లోరిడా యూనివర్సిటీ అమెరికాలోని అతిపెద్ద రీసెర్చ్ విశ్వవిద్యాలయాల్లో ఒకటి. ఇక్కడి ఫుడ్ అండ్ అగ్రికల్చరల్ సైన్సెస్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్లో జరిగే పరిశోధనలు ఏటా ఫ్లోరిడా ఆర్థిక వ్యవస్థకు దాదాపు $900 కోట్ల జమ చేస్తాయి. కనీసం 1,00,000 ఉద్యోగాలు కల్పిస్తాయి. హెల్త్ కేర్, క్యాన్సర్, స్పేస్ సైన్స్ లాంటి రంగాల్లోనూ పరిశోధనలు సాగుతున్నాయి. యూనివర్సిటీ ఆఫ్ ఫ్లోరిడాలో సిట్రస్ పండ్లపై విస్తృత పరిశోధనలు సాగుతాయి. ప్రపంచంలోనే అతిపెద్ద సిట్రస్ పరిశోధన సంస్థ ఇక్కడే ఉంది.
There are many different areas where people are doing research. There is a lot of work going on solar energy, solar power. There is research going on soft matter within the university. Research focus on specifically microscale actuation, microscale flow control, microfluidics, nanofluidics. These are some broad areas. We recently came up with a very tiny device to have cooling on a surface, essentially for heat transfer problems. So these are general areas.
Like PhD is basically like a job. You need to have some level of dedication and commitment. And obviously, you need to work hard, and because not only do you have to get results, you have to get good results that are repeatable. So I've seen many people that come here with the aim of going to PhD, but then they realize that probably masters is a better way to achieve what their career goals are. And that's fine too, because you still get a lot of good job opportunities by doing your masters here. So it's up to you. It's up to the interest that you have in learning about stuff, and so.
యూనివర్సిటీ ఆఫ్ ఫ్లోరిడాకి పరిశోధనల కోసమే అత్యధిక భారత విద్యార్థులు వస్తున్నారు. పరిశోధనా కాలంలో ఫండింగ్ అవకాశాలు ఉండడం కూడా ఇందుకు ఒక కారణంగా చెప్పుకోవచ్చు.
We have a lot of funding for PhD students. Most of our funding is for PhD students. But we also have been getting a lot of mechanical and aerospace engineering master's students. All our PhD students are funded. So if a student convert their master's to PhD, then typically they get their funding.
The funding opportunities in EC department at University of Florida is, I would say, better as compared to other universities, as there are 2 NSF centers for research, which are very highly funded by various companies in the United States. So the EC department gets funding from around 40 to 50 different companies, which are funded. Some of them are government companies, some of them are privately owned companies. So UF gets a lot of funding from them.
As far as electrical and computer engineering is concerned, University of Florida is one of the top research schools for VLSI. So with respect to the funding for international students, it is not that difficult, but you might have to wait for up to 2 semesters or 1 semester to get, because you need to have the projects and the course. You have to be competent in the course. So based on your competence and your interest, you might land up in funding after a semester. So it's not that difficult for international students.
There is quite a lot of opportunities when it comes to funding and research for students, both for masters as well as PhD students. When it comes to PhD students, there is mostly a lot of funding available. But for master's students, you may get funding or you may not get funding. It depends. There are different kinds of funding. One is when you have a complete tuition fee waiver, and another kind of funding is when you get a monthly stipend. So depending on vacancies, it's quite possible. For myself, I am a research assistant in the department. I've been a research assistant for a year now, and if there are vacancies in the lab, and if you are a good match for the position, then you can get it. And in the lab that I work in, along with me, there are 12 other Indian students who joined this university along with me, who are right now research assistants. So there's quite a good number of students who can get funding opportunities.
ఫండింగ్ రైజ్ చేయడంలో కంపెనీల పాత్ర కీలకం. అలాగే చేస్తున్న ప్రాజెక్ట్ నచ్చకపోతే వెనక్కొచ్చే అవకాశం ఉంది.
That since I said that we fund all our PhD students, because it doesn't make sense for a student to pay their own way for a PhD. So most students also want funding, and that makes a good relation. So these fundings come from projects that we get from industry, from government. So the project is fairly well defined. So typically a student comes, and if I have one or two projects, then I tell, would the student be interested in working in area A or B, problem A or problem B? And most of the time students are interested, they start working on it and they develop a liking. So this is how the matching is made as to what project the student will be working on. Now, one thing I should mention, that the students have every right after 6 months, if they don't like it, they can go up and say, look, I don't like it. Of course, their funding will stop. So in the meantime, they can find some other faculty with funding, and they can say that I like that project better. And I think that's reasonable. It has happened in the past. But most of the time, students like what they start with, and then they proceed.
Most of the students at PhD level are funded, meaning they are supported through TA, teaching assistantships, or RA, research assistantships. The teaching assistantship is typically given to students with good GRE and TOEFL scores. They have to be good communicators, in particular being able to effectively communicate their ideas, express verbally effectively. For undergraduate students, the scholarships for international students are very limited. So most of the undergraduate students, that is bachelors of engineering, they typically come with their own funding or with their own financial support. Graduate students at master's level, once again, is difficult to get assistantship, because we try to provide assistantship only to PhD students. So even master's students, because it's only 1.5 to 2 years program, they fund by themselves, they support themselves.
జార్జియే స్మార్టర్ లైబ్రరీ వ్యవస్థ అమెరికాలోని అతిపెద్ద యూనివర్సిటీ లైబ్రరీ సిస్టమ్స్లో ఒకటి. ఇక్కడ మొత్తం 10 లైబ్రరీలున్నాయి. ఇవి పరిశోధనకు సహకరిస్తాయి.
అమెరికాకి వచ్చే విద్యార్థులు ముఖ్యంగా భద్రత విషయంలో జాగ్రత్తలు వహించాలి. అమెరికాలో ప్రతి విశ్వవిద్యాలయంలోనూ పోలీస్ విభాగం ఉంటుంది. మీరు పరిసరాలను గమనించి మెలగాలి. ఉదాహరణకి రాత్రి వేళల్లో ముఖ్యంగా విద్యార్థినులు ఒంటరిగా ప్రయాణం చేయడం అది మంచిది కాదు. అలాగే విద్యార్థులు కానీ సమూహంగా వెళ్ళడం వల్ల చాలా సెక్యూరిటీ ఏర్పడుతుంది. అది మీరు గమనించి, మీరు ఏ ప్రాంతంలో ఉన్నారో ఆ ప్రాంత పరిసరాలని గమనించి మీరు మెసులుకోవడం చాలా అవసరమైన విషయం.